There's always a bigger fish.
Oh, what a great quote.
There's always a bigger fish. There's always a bigger fish. Qui-Gon Jinn, a Phantom Menace, had to get off of Revenge of the Sith. Welcome back, everybody, to another happy landing. We are here. Tanner, Al, as always. Hey-o. Tanner, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great right now, my guy. How are you doing?
I'm tired. If you can tell, I have deep bags under my eyes. Because I was up late playing games with this guy, and then woke up early to film with this guy. The last person I talked to last night was Tanner. First person I talked to when I wake up, Tanner. But before we get too deep into the Star Wars or my love for Tanner here, let's thank the Movie Meal patrons. Steve, Kimberly, Karen, you guys are amazing. If you are not a member of the Patreon, go follow the link in the description. Become a member of the Patreon. Another thing, go get some Movie Meals merch. I've got mine on right now. Got the hoodie. I actually have my shirt on as well. My I Missed the Movie shirt. So go get all that. Links in the description. We've got some cool stuff. We've got some new things coming out here shortly, and some summer ideas on the way. But all right, let's get into it. So. Tanner and I were talking last night. Not a whole lot in the news. Thank you. There's not a whole lot in the news for Star Wars content right now. There is some Daisy Ridley stuff we're going to touch on, and there is some. We're going to talk about some of the books. But before, let's tease what's coming up. So what we're thinking we're going to do for next week's episode is do a trivia battle between Tanner and I. Maybe bring in a guest to run the show there. But we think a trivia battle would be fun to do before we do our giant rewatch of the show of all the movies and the shows, because we want to really see who's got the more knowledge, which is probably going to be Tanner. But and then we also plan to do a ranking.
I don't know about that one.
And then after the rewatch, we'll do another ranking. Oh, it's true. It is very true. You're gonna destroy me. I can feel it. I feel it coming. So that's what's coming up. Let's get into the first big story here. Daisy Ridley said that she said never say never when thinking about coming back to Star Wars recently. She was asked in an interview, said never say never, which is against what had formerly come out. It had originally was reported in interviews after Rise of Skywalker. Was that 2 years ago now? That was a year and a half, right?
Oh my God.
It was two Christmases ago. So not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before.
2018, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think so. But
time flies by when you're old.
She had said, yeah, when time flies by when you're living on the desert watching a young Luke Skywalker. But she said never say never after saying I wouldn't come back to Star Wars, which had Oscar Isaac and John Boyega said as well. John Boyega obviously is fighting a different battle than a Daisy Ridley against Star Wars with all the things he's come out and said. But Tanner, what do you think about Daisy Ridley saying never say never?
I'm all about it. I genuinely am. Every single person that was in the sequel trilogy, regardless of whether or not you like the sequel trilogy or not, they're quality actors. And
top tier.
I don't think there's very many people that could deny that. Maybe they didn't have the best script, maybe they didn't have the best direction. Regardless of what you think of the sequel trilogy, I still think that given with what these people had to work with, they did amazing jobs. They knocked it out of the park. Even though we as fans may not be the biggest fans of certain moments or certain movies, you still can't deny that even though they were given a nice little pile of turd, that they turned that little turd into a nice polished ball.
One turd.
At least for their performance. One turd. You're talking about Rise of Skywalker?
Yes, I am. One turd.
I don't know. There might be two turds, maybe.
I'll give you one and a half. You get one and a half.
Oh man.
I just sit there and think that Daisy Ridley, maybe the roles aren't lining up lately, or maybe COVID has hit the wallet a little hard, and that you want that Disney dump truck backing up, filled with cash, ready to dump it on the front lawn. That's what I'm thinking. I love Daisy Ridley. I think she is an absolute class act. I've only seen her in one movie. I was about to say I've never seen her in another movie, and then I remembered she was in the Polar Express. Not the Polar Express. What's the murder one? It's the famous play. Murder on the Orient Express?
Murder on the Orient Express. That's what it is.
So she was in that. She was good. Movie was kind of meh. I love Kenneth Branagh, but the movie was just not that great. I've never seen her in anything else. I have not seen the little films she's done. That movie with Tom Holland that was made 5 years ago that's been shelved until this year, which comes out next week. I was actually planning to go see in the theater. My dad and I were talking. We kind of feel comfortable enough to go maybe to like an early matinee when maybe there's like 6 people in the theater, get a spot in the back. So him and I might go see that next Saturday or Sunday. But
very nice.
That'll be the next movie I see her in. And she is a class act talent. I mean, she is a top tier acting talent. She's going to have an Oscar on her shelf one day. She just needs to apparently get a better age. And if she's already thinking about coming back to Star Wars, can't get any roles. But of course, never say never.
Oh,
you go ahead.
Weirdly enough, along that that just kind of makes me think along those lines as you say that. It does. Star Wars has had this weird effect on a number of actors where they like do really, really great and like make a lot of money from making Star Wars, but sometimes it ends up being detrimental for their career, like in the long run, unfortunately, because they're always kind of plastered with that moniker of like, oh, you're this. Yeah, exactly. You're the Star Wars guy. Unfortunately, it kind of happened with Carrie Fisher. Like she never really kind of went on to like go and make a bunch of other like really big movies.
She was in some big stuff though. I mean, you think back to when Harry Met Sally. She's got some great spots on some older TV shows. But you're right. It's same with Mark Hamill. Like they never.
Exactly.
It wasn't like Harrison Ford who got Indiana Jones next and had another massive franchise. But you know, we never.
Right.
Maybe they didn't want it. Who knows?
That could be the case. That absolutely could be the case. It almost makes me wonder in situations like that if it's I honestly don't know. It seems like everyone that is currently in or like has acted in the sequel trilogy is they're really class acts that could still go on to make some incredible films. I mean, John Boyega has been in some really good stuff, right?
You know, I really want to rewatch Attack the Block with him. His first real Hollywood film. Have you ever seen that?
I have not watched that one.
It's like it's an alien invasion, and he's with a bunch of guys in Britain, and they're like in their own little like hangout spot together, and they all survive. It's apparently I've seen it. It's just been so long. So it came out in the early 2000s, but be a great pick for our movie club.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know if I don't know if the sequel trilogy is as detrimental to some of their careers now. I don't think that Star Wars is as much of like a, oh, you're the Star Wars person thing anymore.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that might have kind of befallen Daisy. I hope it hasn't, because I still feel like she is a class act. And again, I would love to see her come back in.
And maybe
I don't know.
It could be something of there was such backlash to 7 or to 8 and 9 that maybe it was like, look, I need a mental break from these big movies. Like I'm getting destroyed. I mean, it's one thing to be Oscar Isaac and John Boyega, who are both, you know, men of minority descent, who are already having to struggle with the racism and disgusting parts of the industry. But then, you know, Daisy Ridley's also a woman in the industry. So they all three of them. I mean, that's part of the great of the sequel trilogy is the three main characters is a girl, and two minorities. You know, we actually haven't really seen that in a huge movie franchise. I mean, it's actually pretty cool when you really think down to it that JJ did that. But the industry has also screwed him over and is screwing him over a bit. And apparently Disney was awful with John, but what?
You might be forgetting the seminal trilogy and, well, not trilogy. There's like 8 movies of it now. Fast and the Furious being one of the most diverse casts that's existed out there.
Yeah, but our boy Paul Walker was a white guy. And he was the real lead.
That's true.
And R.I.P. to Paul Walker.
That's a good point.
He was an absolute G. He was not the most talented actor, but I enjoyed some of the other films he was in. He was a good guy. And it was a tragic tragedy.
Circling back.
Yes.
To Daisy, I've got a question for you, Al.
I love questions.
Do you want her to return as a different role, or do you want her to return as Rey?
You don't return as a different character in Star Wars. Like, imagine Hayden
who it was that I was talking
somebody
to
else instead of Anakin.
I know
that would make any sense.
I forget who it was that I was talking to. Is they were saying like they want Daisy to come back, but they don't want her to play Rey. They want something completely new and completely different.
The only way that would work is if those rumors that we talked about on like episode 2 of the show that George was going to remake the sequel trilogy. Like, remember there were rumors about that? If that happened and he chose the same cast and they all came back, I'd be okay with it, but that's the only way. And it would have to be George. If they remade it with other directors, I wouldn't take it because we're just going to fall down the same rabbit hole you did with JJ and Ryan and JJ. It has to be George if they come back. But I wouldn't want her to play somebody else. She is wonderful as Rey. And I think Rey in those first 2 movies has an amazing arc. And I think her arc sucks in Rise of Skywalker. She was this close to being the Avatar of the Star Wars universe. And it sucks that she wasn't, because that is the perfect direction, Star Wars. I will fight on this hill until I die. The perfect direction for Star Wars after Luke is having somebody become the first avatar of Luke, like the reincarnation, without actually saying, I'm Rey Skywalker. Because it's dumb. And it makes no sense that she's on Tatooine. Only the audience knows that. She has never shown us that she knows where Tatooine is and what the significance is. All right, I'm getting off topic. Daisy, I'd love her to come back.
The Force ghost of Anakin is screaming in the distance. Why are you putting it in sand?
Seriously. Daisy coming...
Sorry.
She might be looking at... I think... One thing big at play here is Disney Plus, and I think she's looking at The Mandalorian and people's reaction to Mandalorian, and then I think she's actually looking at WandaVision. She's going, holy cow. They are knocking it out of the park over there with this television. If they gave me a small 9-episode, 8-episode, 10, however many half-hour-long story to tell, I'm in. I think that's what she's thinking, is that they could tell a unique story. I'm not sure what you would tell with her. Because episodes 7 and 8 take place like 2 weeks later, something like that, and then it's like a year later between 7 and 9 or 8 and 9. You could tell a story in between there, but I think you'd have to tell a story after all of this happens, like her trying to start rebuilding a temple, or her just going around doing everything we've wanted from if they were ever to do a young Luke Skywalker show or movie where it was her traveling around looking for relics. You could do some cool stuff with a show. To be honest, I'd rather get a Poe Dameron show of him before the events of these movies as a young fighter pilot for the New Resistance, or for the that would be cool, because the books that I've read with that is dope, and that would be cool. I'd like something with John too. You could do a cool prequel show with John Boyega being being a soldier and him slowly coming away from being part of the First Order, then again, that might retcon a little bit of the Force Awakens with him supposed to being, the Force awakening within him, and it isn't until he's in battle that he realizes. But it'd be kind of cool to see him go straight villain, and we see him doing all that. But he's also a janitor, so maybe it won't be that fun. Think about that. Yeah, he really did get the short end of the stick. I feel so bad for him.
Maybe what we do. Boy, did he get the short end of the stick on that one. And which sucks because I do actually think that there was a very interesting story to be able to tell there. But circling back, that man, like I still think it's an incredibly missed opportunity to have him be have latent Force abilities in him as he also goes on to become a Jedi. I think it'd be really cool if both Rey and Finn had wound up becoming Force sensitive. Maybe he's not as powerful in the Force as Rey is at that point in time because he has he just has more to be able to learn. But then by the time the third movie comes around, he really comes it's him maybe becoming a Jedi Knight. I don't know.
He's Force sensitive.
I've had that thought bouncing around.
He's just not a Jedi.
That's right. No, you're right.
He says, I feel a presence and a force. Remember, he was supposed to yell that at Rey when they're sinking in the stupid sand. He was going to yell Rey, I'm Force sensitive. And everybody expected it to be I love you, because how on earth do you yell, I am Force sensitive, and have that conversation? It's so dumb. JJ, you wrote a horrible script. I'm so annoyed with you. It's awful. And I really like you, JJ. But you made a mistake, and I'm sorry if it feels personal, but you made a lot of mistakes on that last movie. I can't believe how great the first one he did was, and how awful the last one he did is. Anyway, I can't handle it.
Boy, I'm wildly curious as to how we're going to be personally ranking those movies. That's something I am dreadfully curious about.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker will be in the bottom 3. It's not even close. Which is why, it's going to be fun to see how the rankings stand when we rewatch them, because it's always fun to do a pre and then a post one. But I'd love to see all of the original the cast from the sequel trilogy come back, the main cast, because I don't think they all got their just dues. Oscar Isaac's doing just fine. He keeps getting big role after big role after big role. And if they were to do anything with them, a show is the only thing I'd really want, unless they announced it was a remake of the sequel or a reboot of the sequel trilogy, which even I low-key don't want. It'd have to be a show. They'd have to announce it as a show. But I think you said this early on with the parks, where the parks are slowly starting to get rid of most of the new stuff and put back the original trilogy stuff, with maybe the exception of a Daisy actress walking around, or somebody in Rey's outfit or whatnot. Right. But I think I think they're doing that. I think they're trying to move on, because I think Kathy understands that she messed up. She messed up big time.
Well, and I know that technically I would on a financial level, yes, Disney is in the green when it comes to the sequel trilogy.
They only missed on one movie.
Right.
Financially, they missed on one.
The only thing. Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, financially being the Rise of Skywalker, I'm pretty sure that they were still in the green on that one, though.
No, Solo's the one that didn't make money. Solo, I think, barely netted them even, if even that. All of the others made $1 billion. Even Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion. So they're sitting pretty over there. And you know when Kathy's like, I need some cash, they just walk over to Kevin Feige and they're like, hey, you want to spare any over there, guy? And he's like, oh, from which movie? Well, he's like, which one? You can have two money. Because even that made money. God, I love Kevin Feige.
It almost makes me wonder. I mean, I don't know what some of the other things that are happening behind the scenes, because I never actually knew how much the parks actually made up of Disney business.
A lot.
The amount of money that they're able to like rake in with that. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so I almost have to wonder if they're actually seeing a market downturn of using like in the parks, maybe with the release of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, they're seeing a not only one, a big backlash online, but also two, I think this would be the main reason why they're looking to even possibly like change things. Even possibly change things would be is if there is a major financial issue that is occurring.
Yeah,
that
you'll
is the
get
only
more,
reason that I would ever see
you'll
them.
get more people if you go back to the original trilogy because you'll bring in everybody.
100%.
Because the kids, they just need to see Rey walking around and they're fine when it comes to the new stuff. But all of like us,
Right.
I still have a trip my parents are paying for my brother and I to go to Galaxy's Edge, and I can't wait. I saw a couple TikToks yesterday of people building lightsabers. I'm ready to drop $1,000 in there if I have to. Like I am ready to come home with no money. I am gonna wiggle my way into that like VIP cantina, and I'm gonna get some blue milk, and I am gonna have a good time. And my brother, shout out to Andy Essays, he's coming with me because our parents are paying for it because it's a graduation gift.
God, I know whenever I go down there and build my own lightsaber, I'm going to turn into a blubbering mess.
Oh, Tanner.
It's going to be hilarious.
My sisters are huge. Shout out again to Kimberly, who's also a patron. Huge Harry Potter fans. I mean, just the biggest you'll find. And they took a sister's trip to Harry Potter World maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And their stories about when they went to get their own wand it's honestly not as insane as it'll be for me in Star Wars building the lightsaber, but it's gonna be pretty close because I'm gonna lose my mind. I still want a replica. I've always wanted an Obi-Wan replica. It's the one thing of Star Wars I don't have is a replica lightsaber, one of the nice couple $100 ones. The plan is actually to get one of those after I get a Series X. So maybe in 2025. But do we have anything else on this Daisy Ridley story? You got any other thoughts?
Oh gosh, I had a couple more that like I would love to see her come and honestly I would love to see her come back as Rey and have them do something different with Rey than what they did in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. You could do training. I guess in that year where Leia's training her, you couldn't show Leia, but
no.
But you could do it where maybe Leia gave her like a thing to go find or something.
True. I mean, I guess I'm just thinking of like if they did an entire sequel trilogy and they wanted to make Daisy the like main protagonist as Rey again, I feel as though that they could do something to really awesome and really different.
Yeah.
One, she needs to not be a Palpatine and not be a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know. Again, maybe this just starts turning into as I get on my soapbox again of like, man, if they could, or even if they decided not to have her come in as Rey, maybe if they decided to have her come in as a Jaina Solo or even one of the other like actual Skywalker children that like Luke and Mara have
from
like,
those Legends
I don't know,
novels.
that'd be wicked. Right, and because I mean, they're cherry picking the extended canon of what's good and that's in there, and there's some really good stuff that could happen. That's all.
So
it'll be fun.
You're good with Luke Skywalker having children and breaking that part of the Jedi code.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Because I think that as it is, oh god, this might spawn a whole other conversation. That the way that Luke is, he might end up. I already think he broke the Jedi code multiple times, and he also very much went against. He already very much went against Luke and. Or sorry, not Luke, Obi-Wan and Yoda's teachings multiple times to, his failure at points in times. But both Obi-Wan and Yoda were like, no, you need to like strike him down. And really kind of by him doing that, he's finding his own path. And that's what I've always loved about Luke is he sees the problems of the previous Jedi that there really is an issue of like love is one of the most powerful things. Yeah, they're hubris. And love is one of the most powerful things in the galaxy, and like also how in tune it is with the Force. But that forming unhealthy connections is a bad thing. That there is something to be said. It's like do not fear loss because that's everyone becomes part of the Force. That is something that happens, but don't make it so that you're so dogmatic that you can't have a relationship or children or any of that. And that's what I've always enjoyed about the extended canon of Luke.
And Anakin Skywalker is sitting there talking to Padme Amidala and going, desire is definitely part of the code. Calm down there, Annie.
Yeah.
Annie. Anakin is such a cool name.
Bonk.
Real side note, we announced last week on the show that we were starting the new books. Have you started it for next week?
That is a negative, Ghost Rider. I have downloaded it, but I have not started it yet.
I'm already on part 2.
What?
There's 5 parts to this one. The parts are shorter.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay. I'm probably an hour and a half into it.
It's odd. I guarantee you I will catch up. I will catch up by the end of this week. We'll be in the same.
Yeah, we'll touch on it. Speaking of that, why don't we segue to the books? Tanner, excuse me. Sorry. We talked about going through some of the books that we want to touch on because I've shown this off in past episodes, but I was bored at my job teaching children. On my prep period, I was a little tired of wanting to do work stuff, so I sat down and wrote out all the Star Wars books that I want to read or have read. I wrote just all the canon ones down because I knew Tanner has a little bit more knowledge with the EU than I do. So, Tanner, you said you had some books you wanted to add to this list or maybe just, that you want to read. So what ones do you got? I'm gonna write them down here and star them if I've
books
already
to add to the list. And honestly, I just went from books that I just really wanted to both
read.
Canon and non-canon that I really would like to go through at some point in time. We don't. Again, there's only a few of these that I would really love to go through with you specifically. For the rest of these are just like again. Things that I would be like, oh yeah, no, these would be fun reads. Obviously, get off my high. I'm never gonna get off my high horse. The Thrawn trilogy is amazing. Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. You could just call it the EU Thrawn trilogy.
Okay, what was the next one after Thrawn?
Very good. After Thrawn. That would be EU Outbound Flight. It kind of depicts what's happening in the outer regions of Star Wars and takes us into a very interesting place that we've never really been.
I've never even heard of that one.
It's a fun one. And one of the ones that's also very high up on the list right now is from your recommendation that you've been telling me is Lost Stars. Mm-hmm. I am very excited to try and read that one.
Lost Stars.
And one of the ones that I'm the most curious about is Dark Disciple. That one follows along with Asajj Ventress and the Jedi companion. I'm totally forgetting his name. He shows up in Rebels a couple times. Sorry, not Rebels. He shows up in Clone Wars a couple different times. He's kind of the oh gosh, I could go through and run through a description, but I'm just not gonna. He's a Jedi that's kind of like in the background of some like 2 or 3 episodes, and Asajj Ventress and him wind up meeting up and trying to team up while the Empire is on the rise. We see the story. We finally see a conclusion to the story of Asajj Ventress, because this was supposed to be in a couple of episode arc in the Clone Wars, but it just never happened, so they ended up putting it into book form.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I have that one, definitely. I mean, I wrote all the canon ones I want to read down, but I definitely want to read the Dark Disciple for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one was Bloodline, by the same person that wrote. Is that it? That's it right there.
I haven't read it yet.
Al, have you read it?
No, I have not read it. I love Claudia Gray, though. I think she is the best writer in Star Wars right now.
She's been killing it.
I'm pretty sure this is my brother's copy. But it's mine now.
Oh.
It's also his copy of
I don't know what that one is about at all, but
Politics
that one is,
with Leia.
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, Bloodline.
Oh, Politics with Leia. Okay.
Bloodline is something I've been wanting to read for sure.
Is that post?
I believe
post
it's during
Jedi
the
or Return of the Jedi?
Resistance. Yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh, what was another one? The recommendation that you had for Catalyst. Honestly, that would be a fun one to throw in there as we're doing our watch through. We specifically start to read that one in between Episode 3 and Rogue One. That would be a good one. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
This one. This is a really good one. It does amp up Rogue One, so I would completely agree with you that we should read this one as well.
Around that Rogue
it.
One.
Now it's a prequel, so we should read it probably when we start close to Revenge of the Sith and things like that. Because we'll go Attack of the Clones.
But we have Rebels.
Attack of the Clones. Revenge of the Sith. I guess during Rebels, yeah, we could watch it during Rebels, because then it would be Rogue One, A New Hope. Solo in there too, actually.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, someone actually pointed out online that there's really kind of like this secret like hidden trilogy that exists in between episodes 3 and 4, which I thought was kind of interesting.
With Rebels, between Solo and Rogue One.
Exactly.
I like it. I like I like Solo too. Yeah, Catalyst. Catalyst is good. It's more politics following her dad, but it's got some cool stuff. It amps up, I think, the relationship between her dad and Jin, as well as the villain. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but
got it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Oh god, I've got a huge list here. But anyways, I'll just hit some of the greatest notes. In terms of, I've got 2 other ones for canon. That would be Alphabet Squadron and the New Thrawn trilogy. That follows his ascension in the Empire, and a little bit of like what he is doing in the Empire. I think before we see him in Rebels, which is pretty exciting. It's also still written by Timothy Zahn still, so that's really cool. Let's see. Then for EU, I've actually got 2 books on here of Revan. I'd really like to read that book, and then the other one being the Darth Bane book. There's a whole trilogy of extended canon on that one. And I think Disney would be missing a really they'd be missing like a little golden egg if they didn't touch on Darth Bane, because I really think they will. Sooner or later.
Can you hear me okay, Tanner?
At some point. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just had a whole mic and camera freak out for a second.
Oh.
I missed the last one you just said. I heard your explanation, but I missed the book.
The book was, let's see, the New Thrawn trilogy, which we talked about. Oh, it was Revan and Darth Bane, the Darth Bane trilogy.
Yes, yeah. Darth Bane and Revan for EU. which I definitely want to read.
Considering that they dropped Darth Bane in Clone Wars with the Yoda arc right at the end.
Yeah, with him talking to the holocron.
Yes. You know for sure that Dave Filoni at some point in time has got to do something with Darth Bane. That is Hundo P got to be a thing.
Yeah. Anything else you had?
Couple other EU. We've got Shadows of the Empire, which was also a great video game that came out during the 90s on the N64. And of course the Rogue One books were some of the other ones.
The Rogue One books.
Or sorry, not Rogue One books. What am I talking about? Rogue Squadron books. There's like 3 of them. I ended up reading Back to War when I was really young at one point. It was very... I enjoyed my time with it.
I like these. We got some good ones to pick and choose from here.
You know, there is a vast collection of books to to go through on this.
I also want to go through the comics. I plan to go. I want to. I think I'm gonna either get a subscription or just find a place to read some comics, because I would like to just go through the new comics, because there's some cool stuff. I've read a few of them. I've read some of the Vader stuff. Because I know they retcon. They I don't know if you know this, because this is canon, that Palpatine is technically the father of Anakin, because he manipulates the midichlorians in Shmi to make him. That was a canon thing that happened a few years back that I remember people freaking out about. Like, I read those comics because I was like, what on earth have they done here in Star Wars?
Right.
Couldn't just be the Force. It had to be Palpatine. What is with Disney's obsession with Palpatine? We get it. We liked him. Don't ruin him more.
I totally forgot that they decanonized the Darth Plagueis book as well. For some reason, I thought that one actually snuck in, but I'm entirely incorrect on that.
Yeah, Plagueis would be good.
I mean, in most of the lists that I've looked at for people ranking these, they've always talked about Plagueis being like one of the better books. So
yeah,
I think it'd be interesting.
So Tanner and I will pick and choose from a lot of these books, and we're reading the Padme ones right now. And maybe we'll take a slow dip from talking about them as much as we get into the rewatch, but we'll still be reading them, and then we'll probably at some point just have a huge episode about the books we've read. Is most likely what'll probably end up happening. But
right.
Yeah. Is there anything else in the books you wanted to touch on, or should we wrap this short episode up?
That's all I've got. I was actually wildly curious. Is there, for that giant list that you've written there, you monster, what other books on there do you have that you've been meaning to go
I wrote
through?
down every canon book, because I would like to read at some point every canon book, just because I'd get caught up on the story.
You're even going to finish the Aftermath trilogy?
Eventually. That'll be last. The ones you said, the Thrawn trilogy, I really wanted to read. Same with the Dark Disciple. Master and Apprentice and Lost Stars were ones I'm really high on, but I've already read. Bloodline's another one. The Leia book I've started and then never finished, but I was really liking what I was doing, as well as Last Shot, because that is a lot with Han and Lando after episode 6. The Tarkin book I've always wanted to read and haven't gotten around to reading it, because he is a character that you really don't know a whole lot about in this canon, because he dies so fast. But I think it'd be cool to read up about him and his life. The Dooku book, same kind of process with Dooku's uprising, which they touch on a little bit in Master and Apprentice, but they need more Obi-Wan novels. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's probably about it. Lords of the Sith would be interesting. And then all the EU books that you mentioned, I've really wanted to read, because I've never read any of them, and I would really like to read them.
There's
and same
only a
with the-
handful of decent ones.
Yeah. Same with the High Republic new stuff. I really want to read that. I got the kids chapter book for my classroom that we started. We read the prologue the other day, and the kids are pretty hyped about it, except for one girl who does not want to read it, even though she can read extremely well. She just doesn't want. There's no pictures, and she's not about it. But yeah. Well, is that it for us? Another happy landing.
This has been another happy landing.
Another happy landing. Hey guys, thank you again to our patrons. Go get some merch from the Movie Meals store. This is the Valentine's Day stuff that's no longer available, but it was awesome. Go get all that great stuff. And yeah, another happy landing.
Bye-bye, Mom.
Bye-bye.